Institute of Global Security and Defense Studies in Abu Dhabi, all headed by Dr. Said Ghoneim. And today, this is the first one, a new great game for the Red Sea and Horn of Africa. And we start with, but aside from this topic, we start with the new issue emerging in the Gulf area. And so first of all, we asked Dr. Said Ghoneim on his short presentation about Israeli Gulf normalization and also uh, um, uh, reconciliation among GCC rival countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar. So would you start,
yes,
Dr.
sure.
Said?
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, the other side of the world. So thank you for being with you. I will not talk much in this, but it's good to start to show from my angle how I see two things: normalization and reconciliation with Qatar. Everybody heard and read about what's going on, but please allow me to intervene in this issue from another angle, which may be different angle. I will talk about both of them within four expressions, four terms. First one is formulate a new order. Second one, which is conflict between interests and values. Third one, which is normalization itself. Fourth one, reconciliation. How is the connection or relations among the four? I believe that is to maintain the world order or the regional order, or to reformulate the regional order or the world order. So what was going on within the last 4 years, which was in the period of presidency of Trump, that was changing or reformulating the regional order, became different. Totally, I can say different from democratic way. Not only different from democratic to Republican, no, it's further. It's different from American to Trumpian. If I talk about the American side or the American portion, which was really too much affecting. And it was of favor of some part of the region. They believe that during Obama, they were suppressed. They were in the marginalized, I can say, or did not achieve whatever they want. When I talk about the conflict between interests and values, we used to see that between ideologies, like, Soviet Union, USA, and so USA and West always talking about values, the Eastern side talking about interest more. Inside each country, I mean, from the West especially, there are small, not appearing conflict, not appearing the conflict between values and interest inside each country. But what happened within the last 4 years, that it was inside USA, inside Europe, that the conflict between values and interests were very high, very high. So it was more than pragmatism, it was more than pragmatism, I'm sorry. So interests were really high to deal with interests with other countries, which was really very good with the submerging, or let me say, this is how can I say, the emerging countries like the Gulf countries and Israel in the era or the time of Trump. Normalization, it's like, to me, it's like Cold War, not in the meaning, but in the position. Cold War is only, or I think it's only between Russia, Soviet Union, and USA. Normalization is only for relation of Israel with others, like Arab or Muslim countries. When we see the relations between Japan and other countries, it's normal. We don't say normalizing Japanese relation with any other country. But when it comes to Israel, normalizing. From this, it's something like goal to Israel. It's something maybe created during Nasser's era, the Arab nationalism or so. So it was something like goal. So in this case, if I think that normalization was a goal to Israel, and maybe it was a tool or a card of pressure or card of negotiation of the Gulf countries. Like, for example, I believe it's not goal to the Gulf countries, but it's more tool and like steps for what coming more. And it's also like card of negotiation, like help me to counter the GCPOA, for example, as you want also as Israel, or help me as United States of America, which is represented in Trumpian way. It was also negotiation card to Sudan to release the sanctions, to Morocco, to confess or recognition of Western Sahara, which I worked in 1995-96. So it shaped this way. When it comes to reconciliation, so boycott or besieging, whatever you call it, it was a card of pressure, okay? Not a goal at all. It was just card of pressure, and the good time, it was during Trump time, because it was, as I told you, as I see it, it's Trumpian way. And the boycott, it was, as I told you, card of pressure. Why? Card of pressure against Iran. Card of pressure against Turkey. Against Iran because they want Iran to be more isolated. Because Iran relations with Qatar was not that new. It has some before in security-wise in the Gulf and securing the gas and the relation in the gas field and so. And the relations between Turkey and Iran, it has been changed. It became pretending as much better under the umbrella of Islam, no Sunni, no Shiite here. Just having one enemy, which is who is ever against Palestinian cause, like Israel, for example, or other Arabian countries who are in relations with Israel. That's why you can see that the relations with Iran, GCPOA, the normalization itself, how it's also connected to boycotting and then comes to reconciliation. And the Palestinian cause is in the middle. It became also not a goal to solve out. It became like two to all competing countries. Also boycotting or besieging, but I believe it's boycotting actually for some reason. So boycotting is also something like a reason for competition, or it has been used for competition and rivalries, and it will be appearing during our coming 3 lectures in the Horn of Africa, for example. And now when we look at normalization and reconciliation, if I'm understood, I hope I could bring my points out to you. If we look at the normalization and reconciliation together now, as I told you, it's within interests. No values are here. I don't see lack of values or increase of values, but it's a game of interest among all players. And the main key point here, the Gulf countries would like to be participants of the game in the Middle East and other regions. They were not before. It was always between superpowers or great powers and regional powers like Iran, Turkey, and Israel. So the changing of the game was really changing the regional order, that the Gulf countries with big money and big goals, they start to participate in this game, to join or to participate of formulating or reformulating the regional order. And it was through this, the 4 expressions which I have mentioned, or the other 3, which is using the conflict of between interest, as I said, and values, but press more toward the interest. We are here. Who will play with us? This is a game, which was against the main rules of the actual game of competition, of international and true regional powers. And also it was something like to say, remember, that word reconciliation, just to get you back a little bit, for example, please. Reconciliation, it's a word always used in between two parts of the main body, two organs of the main body. There is no reconciliation between two countries, right? So because they believe that the GCC was one body and this reconciliation between two parts of this body. But is really GCC is one body? Was it really one body? So I think it's not reconciliation. I don't think it's reconciliation. It's a temporary solution to keep and maintain one main goal, which I'm ending my short speech now. The main goal of all what's going on right now until the last moment of Trump, and it could easily succeeded to make it extended, is that we need to keep the regional order. We have changed it within the last 4 years. No way to change it. No way to come back before 2017. No way to the GCPOA, which is one of the main elements to change the regional order with. No way that Israel is not in the true community of the Arab countries. You can notice that when you see, when I was in the United States Central Command, I talked to a big head, I don't like to mention his name, in the planning section. And I asked him when Israel will be within or working with US CENTCOM, not Europcom. And he told me still not yet. This one of, how can I say, notifications that now Israel, because you know, US CENTCOM is what? In Bright Star, we were just training with United States, it was with US CENTCOM and other allies. So Israel maybe will be in this kind of military maneuvers with Arab countries. And this is the new regional order, which or the current winning or strong part in the region would like to keep and not to change. This is how I see all of them, but maybe in different angles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Said. So this is a not the main part of this tomorrow's seminar, but is there any? But it's a very hot issue. And is there anyone just want to say something on it? Maybe Mark and Eric or anyone. It's okay.
I think Professor Sayed took us already very far and very high.
So, if I may, just
food for thought.
Yeah, please, Eric.
Yeah. So sorry. I can just be fully. I can just fully agree with this what Dr. Sayed told us, because this is what's happening. It's about the former order and to keep it against Iran. I would just emphasize something that he mentioned about the reconciliation. Yes, I agree. It's not about reconciliation, because firstly about the GCC unity now. If you are looking at to the deal that they concluded on the 5th of January, there were normally 13 points to meet by Qatar before being again full member of the GCC. And Qatar didn't comply with any one of the 13 points, any one. And one big question we still have is, what was the deal behind to get this such situation? We don't know what was the deal. Some people are thinking that it was about to please the Biden administration. I don't believe it, because Jared Kushner worked this on very hardly, and it's not to please Biden. It's one thing. Secondly, about the acceptance from UAE. I'm living in the UAE, so I have this angle. So you see that Abu Dhabi is not very with this deal. It's since the deal, you have the big leaders of Abu Dhabi just saying nothing about the deal. So you don't have any points coming from some Mohammed bin Zayed. We have nothing coming from Abdullah bin Zayed, so the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Nothing about these points. Only it came only by the dark age, just to mention the positive things. And after this, you have Dubai. Dubai is very pleased because, of course, it's aiming about the interest, economic interest. So Dubai can be pleased, but definitively Abu Dhabi is not. And so about GCC reconciliation, we still needed to have more details to know what will be the next step, because we have a lot of question marks about it. Thank you.